up on Zoom, so I'm super sorry about this. If we get disconnected or reconnected very quickly, I apologize for this, but I really didn't expect this. Oh, it worked. Sorry about that. So, Anastasia, I'm super stoked to have you because you're an expert of animation. So, how do you see the development of the transmedia and digital webtoon into that anime world? That other type of storytelling, and what's in it for brand and IP development, of course.
Yeah, a lot of great questions. Let's see if I can cover all of them.
Sorry, it's so long.
Um, yeah, so we're going from the youth stage of webtoon into the more ad getting more adult, getting more mature stage of anime, which is kind of interesting because it wasn't there even I think 10, 15 years ago, but here we are now, and it's very exciting. For those of you who don't know me, again, I run Cowboy Anime, which is an anime content studio, and specifically we work with brands to help them understand the power of anime and anime storytelling and create the content for them. When I founded Cowboy Anime, the for me, the main reason was to explore how to kind of move the brands beyond the traditional marketing. The reason being is I grew up with anime. I was a fan since childhood. Sailor Moon has always been my show. I've actually learned Japanese for the sole purpose of being able to watch anime without subtitles. But now it's really also helpful because I'm working with Japanese creators. Um, so I guess seeing what's been happening, especially during COVID and this huge expansion of anime, where now I talk to whoever I talk to seems to know, seems to have seen a show, or maybe their kids are watching. So there's a big general awareness about anime. The main question that popped up in my mind about 2 years ago is, what if your brand could live inside the world of anime, and what would that look like? And so that's what we've been doing over the last couple of years. And I mean, not just like a logo on a billboard and a scene somewhere, but really a story, a character, a universe that fans can connect to and relate emotionally. Because anime hasn't really been just a medium as of late, but it's really a language of emotion, imagination, identity, connection, belonging, escape for a lot of us. And that's what makes it really powerful as an IP. We'll move into the kind of brief history of anime. I can talk about this forever, but I'll keep it super brief. Generally, um, anime was born post-war with Osamu Tezuka being the father of anime and Astro Boy being one of the first serialized anime TV shows. The thing that I think everybody should keep in mind when it comes to anime in general, and the biggest difference of anime compared to Western animation, is that it came from the point of scarcity and creative limitation in general. Unlike Disney that had big budgets, they could do frame by frame animation and draw every single frame, make it very smooth and look really pretty. Anime never had this resource, so from the start, Tezuka was working with some really limited creative resource, and that kind of led into this very different world where anime has managed to express emotion and feeling through a lot of different things, not motion per se, but the sound, the audio, and a lot of different like limited animation methods. Um, they help us understand the story even with limited animation, even if every third frame is animated or whatnot. Which is just important because that helped develop a whole different style, and that's why of course, these days when you watch Solo Leveling, you see a very polished, very beautiful animation on some really important shots, but then you still see a lot of scenes where they're mostly static, but it works. Um, so in around 80s, 90s, with the kind of arrival of Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, and Pokemon is when anime started moving towards more of a global setup, becoming more popular and attracting fan bases around the world due to and thanks to the television helping out, the broadcasters helping out and distributing anime content around the world. And then obviously these days we're talking about anime as a true global pop culture phenomenon and a language that people love, share, and understand, from One Piece to Demon Slayer. And they're not just Japanese hits, but they're really worldwide franchises. As you know, Demon Slayer is the highest grossing film of, I think, this year, or getting close to it. So yeah, I think that's a really big mark. We can move on to the next one. Um, during the pandemic, just like with webtoons, just like with a lot of kid-old IPs, I think people got a lot of time to spend at home and really kind of rediscover what makes them happy. Anime is one of those things too. It really, thanks to both us being stuck at home and streamers like Netflix being a big curator of anime and kind of handpicking the shows and handpicking what they want to get out there for the audiences. And then Crunchyroll or Sony acquiring Crunchyroll and like really putting a lot of effort into bringing anime into the masses. Thanks to that, we now have a situation where half of Gen Z around the world love and watch anime. Uh, Over 50% of Netflix viewers watch anime. If you look at the kind of comparison of biggest sports events, then anime sits somewhere between, Olympics, NBA, and Formula One, which I think is really crazy because those are some of the biggest events with some really huge fan bases. Of course, Netflix's live action adaptation of One Piece helped a lot, and that's an interesting case as well because live action adaptations don't always work too well in anime, but Netflix really managed to hit that one. And then anime also spilling over into pop culture and mainstream culture through fashion and streetwear, and just people kind of paying homage to their favorite characters in anime in real life. We can move on to the next one. So what does this mean for brands? Well, there's a lot of opportunity for anime and brands. There's a lot of ways to approach this. Why brands should be looking at anime. And to be honest, if you're not looking at anime at this stage, I don't know what you're doing. Um, Anime really helps build this authentic and emotional depth and connection. Anime has a really strong visual identity. It's very diverse, but it's also very recognizable at the same time, which is kind of interesting. It has a very iconic style, so it really helps to stand out when you scroll past on your social media through things and just kind of really bored of seeing the same kind of videos. Anime has a really engaged fan base and community, and anime fans are known to be the last point as well, longevity. Anime fans are known to be the fans that stick around for a while. In fact, the latest Crunchyroll report showed that a lot of anime fans have been watching anime for the last 15, 20 years. That's a while. So you're really not getting just a kind of cool trend, but you're getting to build a fan base that really is going to stick there and be part of your brand for a long time if you do it right. And then obviously the transmedia potential is huge because anime often is linked to games. Anime has a huge merchandising industry, something that Korea is still discovering. Japan has discovered a long time ago, so they're really capitalizing on that fact, and there's a lot of potential to use other channels for revenue streams and income for brands too. And quickly, just on where and how you can utilize anime in your marketing, you can obviously go with the licensing route. It can be as simple as putting the logo or a thing on your t-shirt. Lazy, but it still works. But you can also be a bit more creative and license the content in more interesting ways. You could do product placement, not a very explored route, but there have been brands that have done that and done that successfully. The anime styled campaigns, so you don't necessarily have to create anime. You don't even have to work with a Japanese studio to do it. You can just kind of feed in through anime style and then translate it through your brand. That's also fun. And then, of course, creating an original IP. And that's where I would insist that working with a Japanese partner and really creating the original anime world is what's going to create the highest impact. And a few examples that I've scattered across the slide are just some of my favorites. So product placement is at the top. Don't know which one corner. There's the guy with a tennis racket. That's a show called Blue Box, and you can see Yonex as a brand, an actual brand being present throughout the whole show. I can't find any details on exactly what their collaboration looks like, but seeing as Yonex as a brand is present in the show, they have some kind of investment potentially through the production committee. Jeans and the Chainsaw Man. Jeans is a eyewear brand, Japanese eyewear brand. Really wonderful sunglasses or glasses in general. I was recently in Japan. I went into Jeans. They had the Chainsaw Man collaboration. I tried all the glasses. power glasses with little devil details were the best, and I got them, and you know what? I love them. So they just got me. I'm one of one of those people. And there's also a couple of other examples, but I'm not going to stay on them for too long because on the next slide, I wanted to dive into a couple of very interesting and very successful examples of how
Oh,
brands tap.
McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. Brands tapped into anime, and I think the two are really interesting because McDonald's as a brand has actually, especially in Japan, been using and tapping into anime for the last couple of decades through different continuous campaigns and events and advertising and all that. In the West, this was their first kind of big thing that they've done last year, and it was pretty successful. And what I love about this specific campaign is they went ahead and it was a Nuggets sauce launch. So, you probably didn't have to go that crazy and broad, but they went with it, and I really love that. They've created a whole universe. They've created three short films around it, and it's all completely original. So they fully own everything that's in this ad. It rolled out globally, so 30 markets. Um, is a pretty decent coverage. They've seen a pretty decent increase in sales, 30 plus million views on socials, and a very engaged campaign too. The other thing that I would highlight about it is how smartly they've approached it from not only making animated films, but also having a pop-up event in Los Angeles. So really kind of utilizing different power. And if you were to go and buy nuggets at the store, your bag would also have the kind of little manga panel, so you can unlock different episodes then and watch them. So really interesting journey, interesting creation. The only thing that I find a little sad about it is that they haven't developed it further or haven't come up with season two or whatever, but maybe that's in the works. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next. And the other one is Maro 17, which is it's a shampoo brand, male hair care brand. I can
Sorry.
just go back into that slide. Yeah. The interesting thing about this one specifically is it's a Japanese brand. The campaign is focused on the Japanese market. The target has been always the Japanese market. You can only find this campaign, which has 3 videos now, in Japanese only without subtitles. That did not stop it from going global and becoming a phenomenon, partially because it was animated by Studio Mappa, which produced things like Jujutsu Kaisen or
Mhm.
Chainsaw Man, and already has a huge following in and of its own. The campaign is really fun. When people started watching it, they were like, "Oh my God, is this a new anime?" They realized it wasn't. Now they want it to be a new anime, so there's a huge pull both in YouTube, in Reddit, and a lot of other social places where this campaign popped up for people being like, "Please turn this into an actual proper anime." And the thing is, there's been a precedent. Something similar happened before where people saw an ad and thought, "Oh my God, this is amazing. We want it to be an actual anime." Which was a swimming anime called Free. So yeah, who knows? This is a great opportunity for kind of testing the ground, seeing that your fan base is so much bigger than just Japan, and people obviously remember the brand now as well. Maro 17 is just kind of there in your head. Um, all right, let's wrap it up. I guess yeah, what's next for the IP development? Personally, again, we can obviously licensing is always there, product placement is always there, but I think the most exciting things that you can do in the world of IP development these days is to build your own IP. It's an investment, it takes time, but then you fully own it and you can build the storytelling in the way that you want it. The hashtag has officially retired this year, so the way people discover content is very sporadic, things pop up on your feed. And if you see a story that you like, that appeals to you visually, that appeals to you because it's a fun thing to watch, more as a story rather than a brand ad, you're naturally going to follow to that page to find out more. And then if you realize that there's a whole bunch of little stories attached to it, then you're going to get stuck with it. And then you start building that relationship with a brand long term. So I think this is where the biggest win long term for the brands is. The important things is, of course, you need to invest into authentic storytelling, um, and not just kind of come up with something that's just going to be an easy thing. So really think about who your audience is, how do they interact with the world of anime, where does your brand belong in the world of anime? Collaborate with anime studios, creators, and fandoms early. Super important, just get people involved on board. And there are a lot of Japanese studios that we work with who are our partners, so I'm happy to always find the right partner to make it happen for. a brand, think transmedia from day one, because something that the webtoon industry didn't realize early, there's a way to stretch your storytelling into a lot of different mediums. So that's just something you can put into your strategy as you build it out from day one. And then focus on long-term IP equity. So don't just think about how it's going to go viral, especially because it's really hard to predict what's going to go viral, but really think about how that's going to become something that will build a legacy around your brand in the long term. So yeah, here we are.
Thank you so much, Anastasia.